Anything happened that you needed to get off your chest this week?
Well, a couple of things. And I know we don't like to talk about these things because as we record in advance, we can't really be topical. But Academy Award winning actress Louise Fletcher passed away at her home in France.
That's right.
And I believe she was in her 80s. She was 82 or 87. We totally forgot about it. Now, unlike New York Times bestselling author George O'Connor, who we call a friend of the show, Louise Fletcher had some.
What?
She was quite hostile towards the Seti Bimco show because apparently, we made fun of her for Exorcist II: The Heretic. Hey, look, we know you won the Oscar for playing Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's not our fault you did Exorcist II: The Heretic. It's not our fault you did Flowers in the Attic. Apparently she had some sort of recurring role on Deep Space Nine, but you would probably know more about that than I would.
I can't complain about that role. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but apparently on her deathbed, her dying words were, Seti Bimco, cease and desist.
It's the Seti Bimco Thanksgiving Holiday Blowout. Hosts Tim and John tell the story of how the Pilgrims started a Christian radio show, but those darn Native Americans would only listen to that damn rock and roll station.
It's the Seti Bimco show, where we talk about the transgressions and humor of teenage life, both in real life and the movies. No transgressions. The humor and drama. Is that good?
That's very good. That's a very succinct description of the show.
And later today, we're going to talk about a teen movie we watched, Class of 1999. Right?
Yes.
With one of John's favorite actors. So he did a good job, but we'll get to that.
Did you know they offered the Nurse Ratched part to Miss Angela Lansbury and she turned it down?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and before you think like, oh, Angela Lansbury, who also recently passed away, before you think like Miss Eglantine Price from Bedknobs and Broomsticks or Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast or Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote, if you ever see the movie, the original movie, not the one with Meryl Streep, Denzel Washington, and I believe it was Liev Schreiber, if I'm not mistaken, The Manchurian Candidate. The original came out in '62, and it was with Frank Sinatra and Lawrence Harvey and Angela Lansbury.
Yep.
And it is just, oh my gosh, she played such a dark character on that. She got her third and final Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. For that. Do you know who she lost to?
Oh, John, no.
I'll give you a hint.
1963.
I'll give you a hint. Wah, as in wah, in the East River, as in wah, the East River, where my home. Patty Duke for The Miracle Worker beat out Angela Lansbury for Best Supporting Actress that year. And apparently Angela Lansbury had some choice words for the Seti Bimco program as well. But we're not going to get into it. We'll get into that another time. We will get into that another time.
So that's what really happened this.
Well, one other thing, though, I have another note here. So the shoe company, Adidas, how would you pronounce that?
What? Adidas?
Adidas, right. Because the big thing this week has been that Kanye or Ye or whatever the hell he calls himself now, because he made the anti-Semitic comments. And so
4 months ago,
this company has dropped his the endorsement deal, the partnership, whatever they were doing. Well, I watch sometimes Deutsche Welle, which is a news program in English out of Berlin.
Okay.
They also do on public radio. They do a lot of like classical concerts on the classical station out of Rochester. And I'm guessing they probably do them from like symphony halls where like there used to be Nazi rallies. I just have that feeling. I don't know why.
What?
But if you ever watch the Deutsche Welle, they speak with like American and Canadian accents. I don't know, actually know the backgrounds of the anchors and the reporters, but it's like watching like the PBS NewsHour or something like that. Do you know we have been pronouncing that name wrong all these years? The name, because it's a German company, the name, it's actually pronounced Adidas.
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 Don't
That's
put
how you print that. That's the pronunciation. Yes. It was found by one Adolf Dassler. It came out of Adolf Dassler and his brother Rudolf founded the Gebrüder Dassler Schuhfabrik, or the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. They had a falling out in 1949, and they parted ways. No, this is true.
I know.
Adolf Dassler founded Adidas.
Okay.
And Rudolf, his brother, founded Puma, the other shoe company.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very interesting. You're not very.
But John, I am. But John,
okay.
I think Pumas is pronounced Pumas.
Puma.
You got that wrong.
I did probably. But see, Yay didn't have a deal with Puma, so I didn't get the full. So just remember. Just remember the next time you get like some like pushy executive from HBO over at the coffee shop, over at
Peck's.
Over at Peck's, at Theo Peck's place, the food mecca of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Located on what street's it located on, Tim? Let's give Theo
Myrtle Avenue.
Myrtle Avenue in Brooklyn.
He's not paying us anything.
We haven't given him a plug in a while. He was one of our more entertaining guests. So the next time that somebody comes in wearing their shoes, you can say, "Oh, I love your Adidas," and they'll be like, "You mean Adidas?" And you're like, "Oh, no. The correct German pronunciation is Adidas."
I'll say, "How do you like my Pumas?"
Mm-hmm.
And my
yes.
What are those sandals they wear in Ithaca? I'm forgetting.
Birkenstocks.
Are you saying that correctly, John? Come on.
Birkenstock. I don't know. Birkenstock. They were involved in the ultimate solution too. I'm convinced they were involved in the ultimate. They were involved in the ultimate solution as well, I believe.
Don't tell those kids in the 90s. Oof. So now we're done with the History Channel.
Lesbians all over the world will be burning their Birkenstocks.
Yes. So enough with the History Channel. That's why I'm laughing. Suddenly, the SETI BIMCO History Channel.
Suddenly, yeah. Hey, we've got to. We got to get ratings up. We might have to spin off, or
we got to stick to our
our formula because it's working so well.
It is. Hey, it is.
Okay, if you say so. I just show up once, sometimes twice a week, and I'm like, okay, we're doing great. Tim's like, yeah, we're doing great. I'm like, okay, if you say so. Here I am again. So how about you? Do you have anything to report this week? Come on, rats. Do you have anything about rats? Do you have anything about?
Yes. How do you know?
Or how about the egg? How's the Eggman thing going? I mean, come on, tell me what's going on.
You can call me out for bragging, but I did another one of my 22-mile bike rides, which you should really call me an ass for saying 22. I could just say it's 20, but Google says 22, so I'm like, hey, it's 22.
What brand name shoe were you wearing? Were you wearing Adidas or were you wearing Puma?
I was wearing Nike.
Nike.
Yes. That's how you say that, John.
Of course.
But yeah. Anyway.
So where'd the bike? Where'd the bike ride go? Where did it take you?
The usual one.
Taking your life into your own hands by the Dakota. Yep. Okay.
Yes. And
you just have a death wish, don't you, Tim?
Over by this always happens near the 9/11 memorial. I'm at the red light. I'm on a bike trail. It's mixed with walking trail, and these people, they seem to be dressed in adult like scout leader outfits, whatever you call it, scout
Those
leaders.
old scout leader, Hitler Youth. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, pushing someone in a wheelchair was an outfit. There was no kids, no scouts, which I think now are, you're not legally allowed to have a child within 40 feet of a scout leader, but
Right, I think that is.
But
I think they did. I think they did pass that. If it's not a federal law,
And-
it's something they passed in Albany. I think. Yeah.
and don't write letters in. I told my story
Please
about
don't write letters in.
my scout leader who had a crush on me. Anyway, they were looking around, and I was trying to look at what their badge was, but they looked too friendly, and I was afraid if I looked too long, they'd talk to me. I didn't want to talk to them.
I
And
do
we
that
had
all
a
the
red
time.
light. I know. In New York, you do it all the time.
No, seriously, I don't make eye contact with anyone anymore. It's like, oh, I almost made eye contact with that person. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
That's okay. But so I thought they're scouts. They got someone in a wheelchair. I'm waiting at the red light, and they decide they're going to walk through this red light on the New York street. And I'm like,
Oh, geez.
you're scouts? You got an old lady in a wheelchair? This is the opposite of what you're supposed to do. And a tour bus is coming at them. And the tour bus was honking, and they're just waving as if he's saying hi. No, I mean, the bus did stop, but they were waving like, oh, he's being friendly. And it's like, no, I'm honking because you're at the road. It's a green light.
And I'm going to kill you.
That's all. I just was like, they got someone in a wheelchair. They got an old lady. They're imposter scout leaders. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I looked close, I would have seen. But well, you got Netflix. Have you watched the new? I know you love Unsolved Mysteries. There's new Unsolved Mystery season.
Is there really? No, I am so way behind on my Netflix viewing. I need to do that.
Well, that's all there is.
Because the second season of a Swedish, I am not the demographic for this. It's called Young Royals. And it's basically like a teen drama. And it's like this fictional member of the Swedish royal family. And he's like, there's a queen on the throne of Sweden. And he's the younger son. And his older brother. It's called Young Royals.
It's this. Oh, you told me this.
Yeah. And basically, in the last season, spoiler alert, the older brother, who's the crown prince, gets killed in a car accident. So now the younger brother is now the crown prince. And he's going to be the heir to the throne. Unfortunately, he's met another boy at boarding school, and they are starting a homosexual relationship. And the cliffhanger for last season was the cousin, who is a real asshole, was videotaping them with his phone through the window. Thinking that the prince was with a girl, thinking that the prince was with a girl, and then it turns out he's with this other guy, and that's how they ended. And that's how they ended it. So I need to sit down and watch that.
Now, are there dragons in this?
There are no.
Come on, John.
I heard that might be the third season. That might be the third. That might be the third season. Why I'm watching the show? It's like targeted at like teenage Swedish girls, and I am like totally hooked on it.
And something else happened where I created this great new bit we can do. It's called "Kids Say the Darndest Things." Has anyone done this?
Maybe Art Linkletter in the 50s. I don't know.
Well, I'm walking my big 33-pound dog, and there's a lady and her daughter, and they've got like a puppy poodle big as my two fists put together, and the name of the poodle is Bear.
Bear.
And I let them sniff each other, and the little puppy's excited. And the little girl, who's like 6 or 7, she says to me, "Has your dog had rabies vaccination?" I said, "Yep, my dog is all vaccinated." And then she says, "So that means my dog can't get your dog pregnant." And her mom is laughing. I'm laughing.
Oh, there's gonna be a real serious talking about another 7 or 8 years, isn't there?
Well, I told her, hey, Bear could still give my dog some very serious sexually transmitted diseases. So we watched a movie, The Class of '99, which was filmed in 1990. Mm-hmm. And it's an American science fiction thriller. I picked it, so I'll read the little blurb. Yeah. Directed by Mark L. Lester. It's the follow-up to his 1982 film, Class of 1984, which I also want to watch because Michael J. Fox is in it.
I have not seen it.
But
you know what else Mark Lester directed?
Yes,
Roller Boogie
That's right.
with Miss Linda Blair from The
Yes.
Exorcist and Exorcist 2: The Heretic.
Maybe we'll have to watch that, huh?
Oh, well, the last did I not? Maybe I did. I don't know if it ever got in the air here. I can't remember. But the last time before we did our first program with ABBA the movie,
Yeah.
before that I had seen ABBA the movie on Turner Classic Movies, and after ABBA the movie, they ran Roller Boogie.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, my little head almost exploded. ABBA the movie and Roller Boogie.
That was 10 years ago.
Then I put on my well, let me see, it was probably like about 5 or 6 years ago. And then I put on my Xanadu soundtrack and danced around the room.
Jeez. Got to cut this all out, John.
No, this is gold. This is comic gold.
No, I mean for your own dignity. That's what
I don't care. I have no dignity right now. Tim, we're like
Yes.
what? We're like almost 40 episodes into it. My dignity went out the air like episode 2 or 3. Don't worry about my dignity. I'm fine.
Your dignity. Your dignity. Stop saying that so much.
Not that I had much of it to begin with, but whatever little I had. Yeah, that was gone by, I don't know, the time we interviewed Marcy from the movie mixtape podcast. I think everything was gone.
Jeez, so hard on yourself.
Well, I am the adult child of an alcoholic. But anyway, go ahead.
Also, Mark, he was the producer of Toby Hooper's Funhouse. As we just talked about Toby Hooper.
I saw that in the credits too. Yes.
Yeah. At any rate,
it all comes
Sirens.
Together in the SETIverse. It all comes together in the SETIverse.
This is episode 38. I think it's a special number.
I know, right?
If you add 8 and 3, what do you get, John?
3 more than 8.
You get 11.
11. That's right. That was. Oh, I wasn't sure. I wasn't gonna. See, I only have 10. I only have 10 fingers, and I can't. And I couldn't. I wasn't. I once I get above the 10 fingers, I don't want to chance it. Make a fool of myself.
John, this is November. What number month is that?
It's the 11th month.
11.
And you had another incident at the 9/11 memorial.
You took it to a sad place.
And Soul
9/11.
is 33 pounds, which is 3 times 11.
Well, now you're stretching.
Maybe she only needs like an 11 milligram dose of puppy Prozac. Wouldn't that be cool? Like the vet goes, I think 11 milligrams will be enough for her. 11 milligrams would probably kill an elephant, but anyway.
Where are you going with this 11 thing?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe she'll get put on an 11 milligram dose of puppy Prozac. Maybe I don't know enough about these things.
This takes place. So this movie. Let me read the.
Go ahead. I'm
synopsis.
sorry.
This movie is a class of 1999. Takes place in Seattle. Takes place in the future because it's 1999 in a place where the schools are riddled with crime, and guns, and goth kids, and metal fences, and police wearing masks. And Stacy Keach introduces an idea to build cyborg teachers to deal with these kids. So that's class in 1999. Kind of a few years after RoboCop, they said, "How about Robo Teachers?"
How about Robo Teachers? And I hate to say it, this is very sad commentary on our society. I mean, yes, it was highly exaggerated, but
I know I was thinking the same thing.
They aren't too far off the mark on some of these things, are they?
No, they are not. Joshua John Miller, he was nominated for a Young Artist Award for his performance in this film. We got a lot of hate mail because John does not like Joshua John Miller's
I just
work.
don't like him. No, I was kind of hoping. He only did a few films. I was kind of hoping that, like, I don't know, like, James Dean only did 3 movies and then was killed in a horrible car crash. So it was like Joshua John Miller, he only did a few movies and then got killed in a horrible car crash. Is that what that would be?
No.
Oh,
he's still around. Isn't he the
Damn.
one that opened the swimsuit company, or is he not? We'll have to go back to that.
No, who was the swimsuit company? That was, maybe it was. No, maybe it was the swimsuit company.
He's selling swimsuits. He's
I
doing
think
good for
you're right,
himself.
yeah. Fine,
So
just do not get on the screen anymore, because there was really no difference between the role he played here and the role he played in Teen Witch, other than
Yes.
in this role he got to do drugs and say fuck a lot.
Yeah,
And
he
that's
was
the
not,
only difference in the characters.
No, he wasn't into food.
Or he was into drugs.
Yes.
And then afterwards, he'd get the munchies. They didn't show that.
We got Dr. Forrest, played by Stacy Keach. He created these educational units. We got Pam Grier playing a cyborg chemistry teacher. We got Malcolm McDowell, Miss Connor. Malcolm McDowell is the principal. Sorry.
Dr. Langford is Malcolm McDowell, the principal. Right. Okay.
The principal,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Angel is played by Joshua John Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother Cody. I'm a mess. Cody. Let's go to the start of the movie. Cody. He's getting out of prison. And
We
he's
don't
coming
know
back
why.
to school. No.
Probably a weapons charge or a drug charge. And when he gets out of prison, they tell him, "You better show up to school on time, or we're going to throw you back here in the hoosgow."
Yep. His brother is Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes back to school. He used to be a member of the Blackhearts. And they're all like, "Hey, you're back." And we don't really know why, but he's like, "I'm not going to be a gang member anymore."
Right.
Trying to be a good kid. Even though we give no context to that. I don't know what happened in prison.
I don't know either.
Gave drugs to his best friend.
We can guess what happened in prison.
Jeez, come on. They made that
Specifically
joke.
the shower stall, but we're not going to go there.
They made that joke.
They did make that joke.
So he goes to school. Gets a hard time for not being well, first they go home, right? But they drive through a war zone. They
No, he goes to school first.
First, okay. And he meets the daughter of the principal, who seems to like him for some reason, even though she's dressed up in nice clothes, nice
She's
earrings.
very preppy, she's actually more 80s than 90s. She's very she's very Teen Witch kind of, sort of. Dressed up as the popular girls in Teen Witch. See, Joshua John Miller had no range.
He was wearing yoga shorts in this movie that were tie-dye.
There were a lot of poor fashion choices in this movie, but anyway.
Oh, I do, and I want to point out, her name's Christine, the daughter of the principal, if I remember.
Yes.
I do want to know if you noticed, John, almost like every class she was in the same day, she had a new outfit. Every time you saw her, she had new, nice clothes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just want to point that out, because I wonder if you noticed.
Yeah, they probably had no continuity person on the film,
Right.
It's just that's what I'm guessing.
Well, I'm guessing she's very wealthy. We'll get to that.
Yeah, so so after each class, she goes into the girls' room and changes. So okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I wish I thought of that in high school. Just every time I go to the bathroom to have a change of clothes, see who would notice.
Especially that day
nobody would notice.
Especially that day you wore the Hulk pajama top. That you wish you had done that.
Yes, I just changed to a Spider-Man pajama top. So yeah, then they go home. They have these futuristic cars that look like war machines, and they go home through the Razor. The other gang is the Razor Heads or the Razors.
The Razorheads.
Yes.
Yes, and the Blackhearts and the Razorheads. Yes.
They don't explain this either. That the kid out of prison wants to drive through this area where they get shot at. They chase them out. They have a car chase. Mm-hmm. Not sure why they do that.
Maybe it's just a simple case of it's the quickest way to get there. I'm guessing. Probably something just as simple as that.
He gets home. His mom is on drugs. And his mom and his brother are fighting over who gets the drugs. You can tell he's all disgusted with that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's over it.
Your typical 80s family. Again, like Patty Duke, this is 1999, and nobody's talking about Y2K.
Nobody's talking about Y2K.
But I won't get into that again. I'll let it go.
No, let it go. I think with everything that was going on at Kennedy High School in Seattle, I think Y2K was the least of their worries.
Yes.
Because it's funny you mentioned that, because there was no technology in it. They're still writing things down in notebooks. There are no tablets. There's no computers. There's nothing.
He wrote that kid a pass to go back to his class.
Yeah, there's no technology in it.
Nope.
So I guess that's why they didn't work. I guess that's why they weren't talking about Y2K.
Right. And no Starbucks. This takes place in Seattle. Did I already say that?
You did say it takes
Starbucks.
place in. You did say it takes place in Seattle, but you didn't mention Starbucks.
No, I'm saying there should be. I saw the Space Needle in the background. So everyone's a goth punk rocker in this. Stacy Keach has a rat tail and
Yeah.
bad choice. I think the rat tail was in fashion for 1 month.
Yeah, it was big in Sweden when I lived there. I remember that, but it wasn't like always the rat tail on the back. Like sometimes it was on the side, like on either the right or the left. I remember that too. And sometimes like you dye it a different color than your hair. I remember that, or maybe that was a Swedish thing. But
he was
actually,
only 4 years behind.
I do. Stacy Keach is actually a wonderful actor. Yeah, he did that Mike Hammer show in the 80s, which I never saw. I think because it was on Friday nights at like 10 o'clock or something when we were in high school. I'm guessing that's why I didn't watch it. But he's done a lot of good stuff. He really has. He's actually really a fantastic. They didn't get a good cast for this. I mean, Pam Grier, Malcolm McDowell. You can't go wrong with Malcolm McDowell. He's awesome, I think.
He is, but yeah, that's my biggest complaint for this movie. It's a little too good for us. It's a little too good because there's a chase scene. There's a chase scene, and they show the chase scene. We're used to movies where like, oh, look at that chase scene, and you hear a car crash, and then there's a car on fire,
and there's like a Roman candle that they like light off a Roman candle. Yeah, we did kind of get a little. Yeah, we did kind of raise our standards because I actually kind of let Joshua John Miller aside, who I still can't stand. I actually really kind of enjoyed this movie. And I started watching, there were some scenes that like, I don't ever really remember watching this movie, but then there were like certain scenes, and I don't want to get too far into because I don't want to give anything away, but there was like one scene towards the end where they're going around the school. I was like, I've seen this movie before, but I don't remember.
Well,
maybe I was over at somebody's house and it was on HBO or Cinemax or something, and I just happened to be there for that scene or something. Maybe, I don't know.
It is similar to movies called RoboCop and Terminator. So we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. That's what you don't want to give away.
Well, but no, this was like a specific scene. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay. He comes back. We get introduced to the robot teachers.
Yes.
They rip their faces off and they're like, look at me.
Look at me. I'm an android.
Got a metal skull. Yes.
And the way he does it, like he takes his upper lip and like pulls it up, which was actually kind of cool. Yes. And in the beginning, they're just like perhaps a little too aggressively showing discipline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean before they go to class?
Before they go on their killing spree.
We're talking about when they go to class. Yes.
Like there was some kind of brutal, like Pam Grier as Miss Connor sticking her high heel like in that guy's foot, in the one kid's foot, which I think went through. I think it went through his foot, but that's all I'm saying.
That's what I think.
They did get it was, there was like, ooh, and you were kind of like, yeah, for the teachers, you were kind of like, yeah, that's great. And then suddenly it goes terribly, terribly wrong. Oh no. Like when the one teacher started, what was his name? When Mr. Harden starts like spanking the kids.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Boom, boom.
We need to spend some time on that, John.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it now. Let's do it in 42 minutes in. We got to get to this eventually.
Yes. What would you think of that? Spanking like 15, well, supposed to be an 18-year-old. He looked older.
Supposed to be a 17, 18-year-old kid. I don't know. They're like, can we do corporal punishment? Who cares? We got it, There's just like
it was just a weird scene. That's all. It was a weird scene.
There were some very, very weird scenes, and I was kind of like, I mean, they're punks. Some of them kind of deserved it. You know what I mean? Some of them just had to be shut up. And then suddenly it just all turns on a dime, and it's like, ooh, this is kind of brutal.
Yeah, and Stacy Keach is like, it's okay.
Yeah,
they programmed us. It's okay. And they have that visual look, which is like what RoboCop had, where it says
right, and it's like discipline,
student is laughing.
Discipline, annihilate. They're like different categories,
verbal.
But but it's like, they're always picking like the most drastic, and it's like, oh, and you're like annihilate. It's like, oh, this is not going to turn out good. And for poor Sonny, who one of Cody's other brothers,
yes, he was
really messed up on the drugs. He comes into the class messed up on drugs, and
they take him to his locker, and the teacher shows off by sticking his hand into the metal locker, opening it up, and shoving all the drugs in his mouth.
Shoving all the drugs in his mouth, and he dies and pulls off the crucifix covered in his blood. But now I'm getting confused on the sequence. Did the gym teacher killed somebody first?
Yes, he was beating up on Cody, our hero.
Right, but then he killed somebody in the class too.
Because a kid came back with a gun intending to shoot the gym teacher.
Right.
And the robot cyborg gym teacher kills this kid.
Right.
And that's when all the technicians downstairs are like, oh my God, we got to shut it down. And Stacy Keach is like, sorry, there's no off button. I'm like,
yes,
really?
he is
There's no stopping them.
The Department of Educational Defense.
Yes. Didn't he said something like, you can't stop them once they're programmed. I'm like, well.
Right. Oh, dear.
That's a good plan.
This is not going to go well. And it didn't go well for Stacy Keach, but we're not going to get into that right now.
It didn't what?
It didn't go well for Stacy Keach. Let's just say that.
Oh. Okay. Oh, this reminds me. There are key scenes in here, John.
Okay.
So the principal has a meeting with them after this first day where they kill a student and kill two students, I guess.
Kill students, yeah.
They have a meeting. And what is Stacy Keach doing during the meeting? He's this big, tough guy, defense guy. Do you remember? He's eating a banana.
Oh, yes, yeah.
What seems to be this serious scene where the principal's like, you killed a student, blah, blah, blah. And
maybe he needed potassium. Maybe he needed potassium. Maybe he was depleting his potassium levels, keeping up with these cyborg teachers.
That could be.
Could be. I don't know.
Did you read Wikipedia? The director wanted him to eat a carrot, but Stacy said that eating a carrot didn't go with the back character he had created.
Right. Because
it involved a promising first failed cyborg, a cyborg monkey who was programmed to eat bananas and teach high school students how to pick parasites off of each other. And that monkey self-destructed. And he doesn't like to eat monkeys. I mean, he doesn't like to eat carrots or monkeys.
You want to see bananas in tribute to the monkey? I thought you were going to say teach the kids how to throw their feces at each other. But anyway.
That's too easy. And while we're on it, since we're behind, he went to a dinner with the principal right after that to talk about the problems. Did you see what he's drinking at this fancy dinner?
Milk?
A glass of milk.
A glass of milk. Meanwhile,
what's going on?
Malcolm McDowell's getting his third triple or quadruple bourbon.
I know.
I mean, that whatever that was, whether it was bourbon or whiskey or whatever it was, I mean, he had it filled right to the top of that rocks glass with no rocks. Because he's like losing control. Now, Stacy Keach says he's going to get really rich off of that, but apparently Malcolm McDowell's not going to be cut into it, but he'll have the glory and the notoriety, but not one thin dime.
Are you talking about having cyborgs at the school?
Yeah, but Stacy Keach is like going to be a billionaire.
What ads did you get in this movie, by the way? What were personalized ads?
I got the cute guy doing the DoorDash again, the cute long-haired musician guy.
Interesting.
What else I get? Steel chainsaws.
What else do they make chainsaws out of?
No,
Iron?
Steel, S-T-I-H-L. I believe it's another German company. It's another German company like Adidas.
You pronounced that wrong. That is
Steel.
The Steelgen cutters.
I'm sorry. I'll throw in my Adidases and go out and buy a Stiel.
The Steelgen cutters.
Yeah. It's all part of the final solution. It's all part of the final solution. Steels and Adidases.
I got ads
Adidases.
for Truth Teller Bourbon.
See, I already messed it up. Damn it.
I got ads for Truth Teller Bourbon. Or Bourbon. That's how you pronounce that.
I didn't get that. I did get something for Spirit, but was it vodka?
I got ads for a Flex card, which is some sort of Medicaid card that's probably a totally rip-off thing. Is that real, Flex card? Cody says something's wrong with these teachers, let's go to their house. They find out they all live together. He goes with the daughter of the principal on their motorbike because she's into him. And there's nothing at the house except in the future, DW-40 is what keeps cyborgs lubricated, I guess.
And whatever was in the canisters that had to be refrigerated, I don't know.
And one thing that was never explained, one lacy bra.
Oh.
Why did 3 robots have one lacy bra?
I think that was Stacy Keach's, actually.
Yes.
But we're not going to get into that. Eating bananas and drinking milk and wearing the lacy bra. We're not.
That's okay, John. John, that's okay.
That was part of the story they cut out. You know,
Stacy Keach is an adult. If he wants to do that,
it's part of his backstory. It's part of his backstory. I don't know.
But that's for real, people. People listening. They found nothing in their apartment because they're cyborgs except a lacy bra.
And when I saw that condo they lived in, that whole complex, it looks so suburban Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what even architectural style is that? I don't know. Is it even a style? I don't know. But just that kind. Oh man, yeah, they were all over Raleigh. Those condos that.
I got a surprise for you, John. This movie takes place in Seattle.
I know it takes place in Seattle, and I said it just reminded. Maybe they just filmed that scene in North Carolina for the tax credit.
Probably. Still no Starbucks.
Still no Starbucks.
Oh,
I bet you if Starbucks had coughed up the money, they would have been in there, though.
But here's where I say this movie is a little too good because these cyborg teachers see the kids in their apartment and car chase ensues where they chase them on their motorcycle. And we actually see it. There's actual stunts. Mm-hmm. And he tricks them into driving into the ocean.
Puget Sound or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Because it is in Seattle, Tim. You know it's in Seattle, right? Which would be the Puget Sound.
And there's water there.
Not Raleigh, North Carolina, but Seattle. No. Puget Sound.
Not the worst state to work in, North Carolina.
Is it really North Carolina?
Yeah, I had to cut that out of the episode that when Will was here and he lives there and he said, it's the bottom. It's the worst state to work in. And I looked it up online and yes, worst state to work in. I'll cut that out. We don't need them mad at us. It's bad enough we make fun of Florida because they didn't invent elevators until 1970.
I guess when they say ignorance is bliss, I guess they're right. I didn't realize I did have some real shitty jobs there. I will say that out loud, but
well,
I thought that was just my educational level, not anything else.
Were you able to? Never mind. Not going to get into unions.
Oh, so no. Right to work state, which means we're going to crap on you.
So obviously the robots live because they're cyborgs, but the Cody and the girl run off. And here's another bad Stacy Keach idea. He's like, the workers are like, we don't know who the robots are, and he's like, well, we don't monitor them when they're not at work. They can they can go around and murder people all they want.
All they want to. We don't care, just as long as it's not happening on school grounds.
I have a note here. John will be happy because Angel dies. Because what do these cyborgs do? What's their plan?
They're going to kill everybody.
No, but first they kill gang members and make it think it's the other gang so that they will kill each other.
Turn on each other, yeah.
They kill Angel.
Right. Well, see, my favorite scene up to that point was when they go into earlier on when Cody goes into the club and they're like shooting automatic weapons into the ceiling and they're all dancing around and they're just beating the crap out of Angel. And that was his initiation. And he goes, I'm finally a Blackheart. And Cody says, I'm like, well, congratulations. And watching Joshua John Miller getting crap beat out of him was my favorite scene until they killed him off. And then I was like, this is a fantastic movie.
You're gonna get hot hate mail.
That's all right. Bring it on.
Telling you you're pronouncing Pumas wrong.
Pumas. I'll put on my Adidas and come down there and respond to any of your hate mail.
He will cut it up with his steel cutters.
Steel chainsaw.
I call them steel cutters.
It's all part of the finest solution.
So the gang war starts, and our cyborg teachers show up at the gang war to like kill people here and there behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it took 5 days to film this because of all the mud, and they filmed it in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to edit out any accidental showing of the Starbucks.
Did they really film this in Seattle?
They did, John. The Space
Oh, they
Needle is
did?
the
Oh, okay.
background.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot.
No Starbucks.
No Starbucks. That's what's throwing me off.
They figure out teachers are the cyborgs one moment, and I'm not sure how. Did I blink?
Well, they're just Well, I know the one scene, like Pam Grier. Okay, so the one kid, was his name Raphael? He's the leader of the Razorheads. And he gets a call from Cody, and he's like, yeah, bring it. And then later on, after they kill Malcolm McDowell, the principal. Very brutally.
Yes.
They like grab him by the neck and like put their fingers into his carotid arteries. And it was quite a gruesome death. And so about 10 o'clock, Pam Grier shows up at the house. Mm-hmm. And she picks up the phone and disguises her voice as, I'm going to say Raphael. I don't know if that was his name.
Yeah.
I think it was Raphael. So you're like, so the call that Raphael got, it wasn't from Cody. It was these cyborgs disguising their voice, and Pam Grier disguising her voice. And so they're all meeting down at the high school. And Cody goes, but what would he be doing at the high school? Why would he spend any more time than he would have to spend there? And then it all dawns on, wait a second, we're getting set up. And lo and behold.
Yes. And Pam Grier kidnaps the principal's daughter,
Right.
Christy, who likes Cody.
Right.
Okay.
And then they take their motorbikes and they're riding through. And this is where I remember. This is what I remember. I remember these scenes with the motorbikes going through like the classrooms and everything.
Well, they meet with the other gang. Yeah,
but I really
Okay.
remember that.
But there is another movie with that. I think there's two.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is then.
There's a movie called Motorcycle High School. And all the kids ride their motorcycles up and down the hall.
You know, it was the 90s. I was probably high. I probably saw all three of them. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows?
But the gangs meet up, and Cody's like, there's cyborgs in there. Let's join forces. And as you said, they ride their motorcycles into the school for the final confrontation. Mm-hmm. And one of the kids says, these teachers are like bad, effed up George Jetsons. Or George Jetson Nightmare. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, George Jetson was not a cyborg. What are you talking about?
Rosie the robot was the housekeeper. Can you imagine? Oh, now that was the episode of the Jetsons they can't show where Rosie goes on her killing spree.
End of the movie. These are the parts you remember. They rip off their skin. There's a flamethrower over one arm, and there's a blades that under one. The guy rips off his hand, and there's like a blade under there, and the other one was like a machine gun or a rocket launcher.
Yeah, like a grenade launcher or something to that effect. Yeah.
So, and Pam Grier, for some reason, they shoot her, and she survives, but she rips her chest open just to laugh about how there's stuff inside.
Yeah, and she's got the flamethrower for the arm. Her hand starts melting, and it's a flamethrower, and.
Well, the point I want to make is they put that fake boob on her, and every scene I was like, oh, yeah, there's the fake boob. I know. It's a prosthetic boob. You got to show us the rest of the movie. Kind of sticking out of her shirt.
Yeah. If only she had that lacy bra of Stacy Keach's to throw on there, you know?
What was with that bra?
Now, I didn't even notice it. Now I'm going to be thinking about that. I'm going to be at work all day tomorrow. What was it with that lacy bra in class of 1999?
They had a few catchphrases they tried to make work here. They blew up Pam Grier, and they said, "Right here, you mechanical bitch." Yeah. And right after the classroom blows up, he says, "Guess I blew that course."
That was kind of.
And here's where the movie is very much like Terminator, with half the skin falling off and metal underneath.
And what was that forklift? Was that a forklift he was driving in the end to kill the gym teacher? Why was there just a random forklift? Enough about, who cares about the lacy bra? Why is there this random forklift just sitting in a high school?
Yeah, that's right. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Forklift in a high school.
They had to end the movie somehow.
That's how
do we have enough money to rent a forklift? They're like, well, yeah. They're like, okay, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yes, they blow up Pam Grier. They shoot the history teacher through the head and forklift and bus because he lives. First they run a bus over him, but he lives, and then the forklift. Right. Not that it matters to the people listening at home. All the kids fight the forklift. And I also want to say this entire movie, by the way, John, let me point out, this was filmed in Seattle.
Was it filmed in Seattle?
I understand
I
that.
didn't know that. I didn't know it was filmed in Seattle. Because there wasn't a Starbucks in it. There wasn't a Starbucks in it. Are you sure it was filmed in Seattle?
Not one person of color was in this movie. Of any. It's just pure white. Did I blink and miss? Maybe one gang member was not white. I'm just pointing that out. I'm surprised.
No,
it was filmed in 1990.
Right. Some of them were supposed to be Latino, I think. But anyway. Yeah, you're right.
Interesting. I'm right. It's a racist movie.
I guess. It was 1990.
So that was the end. Did it just end like that? I forget the ending scene.
They kind of just, they kill the gym teacher and then they just kind of walk out to some sort of whatever.
Oh, Stacy Keach. What happened to Stacy Keach?
Oh, Stacy Keach does get killed by, it was the gym teacher, right? The gym teacher comes from behind him and just
rips his heart out.
Like from behind.
Yes. I forget why, but.
Well, the cyborg had just, at that point, they were starting to disintegrate and they had been, I think they were going haywire kind of sort of
right.
They really didn't have any control over anything. All the lab technicians had been slaughtered. They showed them all dead in the control room at one point. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. It was just mechanics, android science gone terribly, terribly wrong.
That means it's quiz time.
I'll call it
the BIMCO
SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes.
Brainstorm.
I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The BIMCO. I love quizzes. The BIMCO.
I'll call it
theme song.
No.
So, as usual, at quiz time, I ask, and you know what, John? I left out "This is like that" so that we have time for George's letter. You know how I usually do "This is like that"? And there was no "This is like that." All I can say is this movie was like RoboCop and Terminator. Pretty much.
There you go.
And that's that.
There you go.
So, John's like wiping his brow. Thank God. No, this is like that. But who from this movie was voted most likely to be the CEO of an elevator company? Did you give this any thought?
Well, I'm going to say Cody because of the way he controlled that forklift going up and down, killing the gym teacher in the end. And it took a long time to rip off that head, by the way. Yes. So I'm going to go with Cody. Cody ran.
He likes to make things go up and down.
Unfortunately, there were a lot of fatalities on his elevators because they had gone haywire, and he would just have these flashbacks to when he had to kill the gym teacher android with the forklift.
He's still killing androids.
Long story short, he wound up going back to prison.
Ah. Well, you know what? I said Cody too.
Yeah. For the same reason or a different reason?
No, different reason. People thought Cody would be the CEO of an elevator company because they didn't show this in the movie. But when he was in prison, he decided to straighten out his life. And they didn't show it in the movie, but his favorite class was History of the Elevator. But he only ended up being the elevator operator of the Seattle Space Needle. But because of this,
wait, was this movie set in Seattle?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I saw the Space Needle.
There's no Starbucks. I didn't know.
But he got to help the production company who made the hit movie Runaway Elevator. It was filmed in Seattle, in the Seattle Space Needle. And it was about a runaway elevator. Because Cody was an actual elevator operator, he advised Dolph Lundgren, the star of the movie, on how to play an elevator operator in this movie about a runaway elevator. Did I say
wasn't that the
How do you say his name?
Lundgren. Wearing his Adidas.
His Adidas.
Wearing his Adidas and using his steel chainsaw. To find a solution.
Steel cutter.
Steel cutter.
So
Wasn't that the opening scene of the original Speed, though? The runaway elevator? Anyway.
well, you think in this movie the runaway elevator goes to the top of the Space Needle, and you think the excitement's over, but a helicopter shows up, and it takes the elevator car to another tall building. It takes it to the Minnesota Sky Needle.
The
Where
Minnesota.
it's a runaway elevator again, only down to the basement.
But
And you
didn't
think
that
that's all the
collapse in like
excitement.
1950? Didn't you tell me that collapsed in like 1957? I'm confused.
It's a movie, John. It's a movie. But you thought that was exciting, but the elevator's now in the sewer. It's running away in the gushing water. It's a very exciting movie. But Cody never ends up actually being the CEO. He just helped out with the filming of that movie.
Gotcha. He was the technical consultant.
Yes. I don't know who they got to help him once the elevator was floating down the sewer. Okay, who from this movie would most likely have a podcast?
Well, here's the thing. These are going to be two very difficult because we have the podcast and we're going to have the spinoff. This is going to be very difficult because nobody survived.
Yeah, a few people survived.
Christine and Cody.
Sure.
And I'm looking at my list here. Well, there was the mother. Okay, let's say the mother. The mother who, well, I mean, she lost two sons. Did she ever realize she even lost the sons? I don't know.
Maybe she found out.
That's how you deal with losing a child. You just keep high on drugs all the time and don't worry about support groups. That's her podcast.
Is that her podcast? And
Well,
is it like dead air?
Yeah,
She just comes on.
basically. Like, how did you deal with the grief of how do you deal with the grief of losing a child and you just hear like this bong?
Oh, jeez.
That's how you deal with it. You know,
You're full of hopeful thoughts tonight.
Well, nobody lived. It's kind of hard to like say, well, now who had a spinoff? Well, like, okay, go ahead. Who do you think would have a podcast, Tim?
This podcast, well, Christy lived. And here's why I
Right.
think that Christy would have a podcast. So you noticed, as I noticed, she had a different set of clothes, like for morning and afternoon classes, and every day she was obviously stealing these clothes. She had a problem. She had deep-seated issues, wondering if her dad was covering up the murders of the students, which he was. And after the death of her father at the hands of the cyborg gym teacher, she just started stealing more clothes after 1999. In fact, she taught Winona Ryder how to lift expensive clothes. But Winona wasn't as good a student as she should have been. She got caught. And she also taught Lindsay Lohan how to shoplift clothes. And Lindsay also got caught doing other things. But she used all the money she saved stealing clothes to buy tickets for her other passion, being a child of the 90s. She followed the band Fish with the PH. She followed them everywhere, went to all their concerts. And at those concerts, she would steal their Fish t-shirts. Until one day she accidentally attended a Hootie and the Blowfish concert. Not thinking it was Fish, because she was high or something.
Right.
And she was stealing Hootie and the Blowfish t-shirts, but Hootie and the Blowfish have serious security, and they beat the crap out of her for stealing these tie-dye shirts. But despite this, she became a huge fan of Hootie and the Blowfish, and it was then she started a podcast about Hootie. Every week on her podcast, she talks about how she loves the band, but maybe they could choose a better name, as Hootie and the Blowfish is a terrible name for a band. And her podcast is called What a Crappy Name for a Band. There you go.
There you go.
Reusing my Hootie and the Blowfish material
Wonderful.
from the time
Fantastic.
George was here. I love to weave a story, John.
There you go. You do. You weave it. You weave it. You do tell a tale, Tim. You really do. You tell a tale.
Please, listeners, stay around for just a little bit longer.
Yes.
So, John, who would have a TV spinoff, though, like a fictional?
Well, again, I was going to say Christine, and it's very tied into the clothes, but it's like it's Christine, and she opens up a boutique where they have tie-dye bicycle shorts and
Oh, yeah.
all the clothes that they were wearing
From the 90s.
From the 90s.
Did they have Birkenstock? Wait, how do you say it?
I don't know. They did sell. They did sell
Birkenstock.
Adidas.
Adidas.
They did sell Adidas there, and
and Pumas.
yeah, and it's just basically
Nikkei.
Where was this movie set again? It's
I think in Seattle.
in Seattle. That's
Seattle.
right,
Yeah,
Seattle.
Seattle.
I have to check my notes on that. Yeah, it's just basically the ins and outs of running a boutique that sells tie dye, bicycle shorts, and Adidas's, and then a Starbucks opens up in the building. The rents go up, and she has to figure out how to. So that's the storyline every week, is like how she is going to pay for her rent now that the Starbucks has moved in.
Does she refuse to get coffee at Starbucks? Is that part of the drama? But she loves
That is
the
part
smell.
of the drama. But every week, somebody brings her in a chai latte, and she's sipping it, and she's like, "Wait, what am I doing?" And that's like her catchphrase.
That's her
It's like-
catchphrase.
Well,
What am
it's
I
like,
doing?
It's the funny thing. Every week, she takes a sip of the Starbucks chai latte, realizes what she was doing, and then does a spit take.
Right.
And yeah,
And every week
and it's
there's
the
a new
same. It's the same joke.
celebrity
And
that
there's a new
that gets
celebrity. There's
spit on.
Lindsay There's Winona Ryder, Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton.
Yes.
All these celebrities come in to shop for tie dye bicycle shorts at
get
her
spit on.
boutique in the spinoff.
Okay, I like that. Sounds like it spit on every week, different celebrities when she does
Yeah,
her
there
spit
you
take.
go. Yeah, just cover. So yeah, and every episode, the guest star has to sign a waiver every week. Like, you will have to take a spit take of Starbucks chai latte in the face. That's part of the agreement. Or don't bother. We're not going to use you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Stacy Keach came on. He was the only one that wouldn't sign the waiver. He wanted
Yeah.
milk spit
You
in
want
his
milk? So
face.
they're like, no, Stacy, no. No milk, no bananas. Starbucks chai latte, or you're not. Forget it.
So who would have a spin-off TV show in my opinion? I saw the hints for this, John, that you missed. Dr. Forrest, he was Stacy Keach. He's the one that created these cyborgs. And he gets killed in this movie. But Dr. Forrest had already made a cyborg of himself, and he had it ready to activate in case he died. The fact he was eating a banana was a big clue. You see, the real reason
God.
Dr. Forrester was eating bananas and drinking milk with his fancy dinner was because he used some of his body parts to make a cyborg version of himself. He lost a lot of calcium and potassium and needed to constantly refresh those nutrients.
Okay.
But
what?
this cyborg, Dr. Forrester, would travel around trying to implement his cyborgs in other settings to prove his cyborgs worked. Like one week he'd have cyborg clowns, and that didn't work out because the cyborg clowns would detect that people were laughing at them and go on a killing rampage. And then one week there'd be cyborg fishermen. And then, as this was set in Seattle, he realized he could make an entire cyborg band.
Wait. This was set in Seattle?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I must have put that in my notes somewhere.
He made an entire cyborg band called Fish, spelled with
Okay, here we go. Here we go again.
And then this very special episode, as it was the 90s, he made this cyborg fish band. They played a few hit songs before killing a group of hacky sack players at Woodstock 99. And the name of this TV show would be 2000 Party Over. Oops, out of time.
Mm-hmm. Did they address Y2K in this spinoff at all? No.
Yes, that's in the title. 2000 Party Over. Oops, out of time. You know who said that, right, John? You getting it? Who said that?
I did get. Yes, Tim, I did get it. It was Prince. Yes, I do get it. Yes, I understand that. You don't have to explain that to me.
Oh, was that Prince? I didn't know.
Yeah. Where is this
right.
movie set again?
Okay, we have a redder.
A rudder.
We're going to read this letter and do it this week or next week, but we got to get through this letter.
Okay.
Maybe this is 2 episodes. I don't know.
I'm telling you, this letter's got to be its own episode. Will we ever get to this letter? Because we're probably never going to get another letter, so we just want to keep pushing this off as long as we can. I mean, I doubt New York Times bestselling author and friend of the show, George O'Connor, is really going to be offended. I mean,
Okay,
does he seem
I'm opening this letter.
Does he seem despondent to you? Does he seem suicidal? Is he not eating?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 paragraphs.
Jesus.
You know what, John? We can't read this week. We can't do it.
Maybe we should open the show with it one. Maybe we should open the show with it 1 week.
Okay.
We'll open the show with it next week.
All right.
Or 1 week.
We'll make a plan next week. George O'Connor, you've been cut from the show again.
I'm sorry, George. Waiting in the green room again.
Who's the guy that talked to his hand on Ed Sullivan's show?
Oh, is that Topo Gigio? Is that it?
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
We had to have. You've been canceled because, whatever.
Topo Gigio went.
If this were the 60s,
I think
Topo
Gigio
would be
Gigio died when like Jimmy Carter was president or something. But anyway, he took up a lot of time anyway.
He did. We cut him out.
We cut him out.
No, George, we had to talk about Starbucks, so we had to cut you.
Yeah.
Because we talked about too much. You need to email us. Well, we'll say goodbye. Should we say what? Do you have more to say?
No, I have nothing to say. Just that you can email us, but we may not get to your letter for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
SETI BIMCO with an E at the end of that word at Gmail. We're on Twitter at SETI BIM. We're on Instagram, SETI_BIMCO.
Yes.
Like us and follow us. You can listen to us on any platform, on YouTube. Anyway, we'll get out of here. John's laughing politely.
Tim, you have a great week.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
SETI BIMCO is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.